Good morning, everybody. I'm coming to y'all early in the morning. It's about 7 something in the morning, so I came just to give you guys this video because y'all really have been encouraging me on Instagram. Let me know how relatable my videos are and that you really enjoy them. So, no matter how I feel, which is horrible, and I look it, but we're going to get into this video. At this time, I had to be about 18 to 23, somewhere around that area. It might not have been 23 um, because I was staying at the Covenant House, and the Covenant House you had to be between 18 and a certain age. So I'm just giving you like a little rough around, the age that I could have been. Um, I don't know if I was on good terms with my parents or what the situation was. But I was at the Covenant House, and I ended up getting kicked out of the Covenant House. And I found myself on Atlantic City Boardwalk sitting on a bench for hours. Throughout that time, a lot of different people had came to me, approaching me with different things, such as, prostitution and selling different things, And, I always turn down whatever negative thing that somebody approached me with. But I knew that I was in a situation I really didn't know how I was going to get out of it. Um, I just remember sitting there and it's like I'm crying on the inside, but I didn't want people to see that I was crying because, I guess I didn't want nobody to think I was weak. So I'm sitting there and, it's starting to get dark. And this older man had walked past me and he looked at me, he smiled. And, I smiled back at him, just being nice. And then within seconds, he came back and he sat next to me. And he was like, I was walking past you and I was going to keep walking, but I really just had to come back to let you know, like, you have a really beautiful smile. So I'm just like, thank you. And he's like, what are you doing out here? It's getting late. Who are you waiting for? Why are you sitting out here? And we, got to talking, and I ended up telling him my story. And he was just like, wow, I can't just walk away and, leave you here. He was like, I don't have much. He was like, I have a bed. And he was like, I have some food to offer you. So if you want to come with me, you're more than welcome. Now, this is going to sound so stupid, but I want you guys to keep in mind that I was young and I didn't have no other option, you know, at that time that I could see that I could take. So I ended up walking off with this man. And we got back to his place, and he did just what he said. He let me sleep, he let me eat. When I woke up, we started talking some more, and he was like, I don't think that the Covenant House would just let you be out here. Why don't you try to get back in there, see what you have to do to get back in there? So, I did what he said, and I went and I tried to get back into the Covenant House. If y'all want to know what the Covenant House is, if you don't already know, I can give you another story time on that. But um, they let me know that I wasn't going to be able to go back. And I told him that. And I'm not sure. I think the same day that I told him that, he ended up letting me, just stay there. So now I was staying there. We hadn't discussed rent or anything like that, but I believe I was getting general assistance. And so when the time came for me to, receive those benefits, I would put it into his house. Shortly after we began a relationship, now I told you I had to be between 18 to 23, and this man was at least 40 years old. He basically had set me down and he was like, I just can't be with, a woman that don't have no job, or that's not getting no real income coming in. He was like, I just never been with a woman who didn't have a job. And I just felt like, oh my God, I don't have anywhere else to go. I got to get a job. I want to keep this relationship. Because at the time, I felt like he was all I had and I didn't have nobody else. So throughout this time, before I had got a job, he was telling me, you're getting, bigger than what you was when I first met you. He was like, I still care about you, he said, but I care about like your health and things like that, and I don't want nothing to happen to you. He was like, you should consider losing some weight. And I was like, oh my God. So now I don't have a job and now I'm huge. So he's gonna just end up putting me out. I don't have nowhere else to go. And like that's like throughout my whole life, it's always been either good or I just go straight back to negative, go to bed. Like it's like no in between with me. So I started eating less and I started losing weight. And this was a red flag, but I just brushed it off. So when I started losing weight, me and him were walking to like go grocery shopping or whatever, and some guys was walking past me and they was looking at me like, oh, she look good or whatever. And I just remember him being so mad and kind of like grabbed me to let them know like we were together. I didn't look at them. I knew that I was with him, so I wasn't paying no mind to what nobody else had to say. So when we had got back into the house, he was like, so what you're doing is you're losing weight to try to get other guys to notice you. And I was like, no, I'm losing weight because you told me I was getting big or whatever, and you was worried about my health, so I lost weight for you. And he had like a huge problem with it, and I don't know if it's because he really thought that I was gonna leave him. Maybe he had some insecurities because our age different, but he um kind of switched after that, and he became like controlling, wanting to know where I was, trying to keep tabs on me at all times. And trying to think, about what I'm saying before I say it, but I kind of, I guess, liked it because it was like having a boyfriend and a father all in one. Like, I guess, it sounds so stupid, but it just, you know, it was comforting, I guess, to know that somebody cared about me. And so I just went along with him being controlling and wanting to keep tabs on me because I just felt like, he's worried about me, and why wouldn't he be? I'm his girlfriend. And things just got worse after that. He started to put his hands on me. It could just be for anything, I didn't cook something right. He didn't like what I was wearing. He didn't like my friends. It just could be, any reason. And the first thing he would say was, I took you in when you had nobody, and your family don't even want to deal with you like that. You know, who do you think you are? You really think that you can get better than me? He was like, I'm all you got. And so when he would put his hands on me, I just, would take it because, you know, I took it because I believed everything that he said. I wasn't, in good terms with my family, and he was all I had, and he did take me in when I had nothing. Um, Throughout this time, I started to, talk to my mom and my dad again, let them know I was in a relationship, and instantly, my dad, he don't care. He just, who is he? I want to meet him. Now, when he met him, they had some history. Come to find out, he had dated somebody else in my family, and he was like abusive to them. So my dad instantly didn't want me to be with him because he abused that family member. So my dad probably just knew like he's abusing my daughter. And so my dad tried to take me home with him, and I was kind of mad, like, where were you at when I had nowhere else to go? Now you want to come back into my life, and you want to try to, you know, run my life when, not too long ago I was just sitting on a boardwalk with nowhere to go. Like, so I think he took me back to his house, and I made an excuse, and I went right back to my boyfriend's house. And the abuse got worse because now he knew who my dad was, and he knew that history or whatever that they had, and so the he began to just just Jesus, like the controlling got worse. He would always blow up my phone, and I could just be going to like the corner store. He began to beat me more, and he was doing whatever he can, I guess, to um, just keep me afraid, to keep me just knowing, like, what he could do to me, you know, if he felt I was getting out of line or if I wasn't doing something he wanted me to do. So in between these times, I had ended up getting a job at the Taj Mahal. It was a casino in Atlantic City at the time, and I got a job as housekeeping. And anybody who's done housekeeping, you doing like 10 to 20 rooms a day. And so by the time you get off, like, you're tired. So I had came home. I had been working, at the Taj, for a few weeks now. And I remember I was rushing home, to be honest, this day, because there was a church show on, and I really wanted to see this church show. I just really, I was brought up in church, and I just really, with all that I was going through, I just really wanted to hear a word from God. Like, I really wanted to see that show so bad. So I came in, and as soon as I came in, I sat down and I took my shoes off, and I kind of put my feet up because I was so tired. And he gonna come in, yelling, screaming, and cussing, drinking, and telling me, aren't you gonna cook dinner? The house need to be clean. And you sitting here with your feet up like you so tired. And I said in a low voice, like, I really am tired, and I'll start cooking dinner in a few minutes. I wanted to watch a little bit of this show. And he was like, I'm hungry. I don't care, like, what you want to watch, what you want to do. He was like, but I'm hungry. The house need to be clean. And I had the remote in my hand, and I remember he went to go grab the remote. And when I tell you, something just rose up inside of me, and I threw that remote, and it cracked him in his face. And I mean, it cracked him so hard in his face, like that's the sound it made, like crack, like the remote just hitting him in the middle of his face. He was so mad, and I like ran into the room, and I ran into the room, and I stayed there until I thought that everything had passed. And when I came out, we ended up fighting. I did not get to see that TV show that night, and I just picked myself up off the floor, and I went to cook dinner and made his plate. Um, I cleaned the house and took a shower, got ready because I had to be to work the next day. I never told anybody that I was being beaten. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. So I say like maybe like I think the last year that we was together, um, I was sitting in the living room, and I had seen this commercial, and it was like talking about like a women's center, and it was for women getting abused. So I just remember jotting the number down really quickly. Um, when he wasn't looking, I had put it into my phone, and I saved it like I think under a story name or something. I didn't, in case he looked at my phone, I didn't want him to see that number and know what it was about. So, um, you know, he was so abusive, and he was so controlling to the point that when we were sleeping, he would sleep with his body over me, so that if I moved, to go to the bathroom or whatever, he would, know that I moved, and he would get up. And he would like stand there, watch me use the bathroom, and make sure that I got back into bed. And it just got to the point where I really thought that he was going to kill me. Like, and I'm just like, I'm so young, and I really just need to get out of this situation. And I just remember I started to sleep with a knife under my bed because I just never knew when he was going to try to, you know, when he was just finally going to say, I don't want her anymore and just try to kill me. It just, things just got worse. He would force me to have sex with him, and it just like, and I just remember just laying there, and it was so much other stuff that I had been through, as a kid to now. And I'm just like, I'm really still getting abused like this. This is really still happening to me. And I just remember just laying there, and I kind of felt like silly on The Color Purple, where she would just like, she just let him do his business. And I just kind of felt like that. Um, the love that I thought that I had for him, it turned to be fear. And I just remember like, you know, he's going to kill me. It's just a matter of when. And then I remember, oh wait, I wrote down that number. Maybe they can help me. And it's just like, when you're going through different things, you kind of just look back on a situation and you just like, God was really there. And I didn't even know that God was there. It was just one morning. I'm not sure what time it was, but it was early in the morning. And I remember waking up and I realized he he wasn't holding me. And I was a little chunky girl at this time, so I'm just giving you an idea of how I look physically. And I just woke up like, wow, he's not holding me. Like, maybe today's the day. Maybe I can get away. So I remember like playing like I was sleeping, just rolling out and falling on the floor. And when I fell on the floor, I looked to see if he was awake, and he wasn't. Like, I think he, because he was a heavy drinker, and I think that he drunk, a lot. He was just out. So I army crawled to the door. I opened up the door, and it seemed like opening up that door took forever. I was just trying to make sure that it didn't squeak or anything. And I crawled from the room to, like, through the kitchen, through the living room, and I opened the front door, and I just ran out. And I called the number, and then I remember a woman answered the phone, and her voice just sounds so peaceful and so helpful. And I just remember, like, I'm doing the right thing. And I was telling her, that, I've been living with my boyfriend for 6.5 years, and, he's mentally, physically, and verbally abusive towards me. Um, and I'm just, you know, waiting for the day that he just wakes up and say he doesn't want to be with me anymore and takes my life. Um, and they have to ask you questions because they want to know if it's really, serious for you to really need their help. And I was just telling them everything that he had, done to me. And when I was in the middle of the conversation with them, he must have noticed that I wasn't in the bed. He comes outside and he starts screaming, hollering, and cussing. And the only thing that I could think of was to say, "Oh, I'm talking to my dad." Now, he was scared of my dad. So when he heard me say that, he was kind of like, "Oh, okay, well, just hurry up and get back in the house." So uh, the lady on the phone was like, "Okay, you can stay here." She was like, "Here's an address. Once you get to this address, you stand there 30 minutes by yourself, and then you call us, and we'll come out and we'll get you." So I called my dad, and I told my dad, what the situation was, and he agreed to pick me up and take me. So I waited till my dad came. I started packing my stuff, and I took my stuff and put it in my dad's car. He took me to the address. He was basically like, "Are you sure you want to do this? You could always come and stay with me." But I'm like, I'm doing the right thing. and he drove off after giving me a hug and a kiss, and I was really scared because I just felt like now you really messed up. You This guy is going to be really really angry because you just packed your stuff and you left. He's going to be looking for you. I just kept telling myself just to call my dad back and tell my dad to take me back because I just knew it was going to be bad for me. But I never did that. I waited the 30 minutes, made sure the coast was clear, and after the 30 minutes, I called them and I let them know it's been 30 minutes. And then next thing I know, two ladies came and they grabbed me and they put me in this building. This building was a safe house. It was other women that was in um, my situation. You know, they was there. They showed me my room, and I just remember sitting down and being able to breathe. Like out of all I went through with that man, I finally was able to breathe. And once I was able to breathe, I broke down. And when I tell you I cried like a baby, snot and all. You know them real deep, good cries that you can't even stop. And even if you wanted to, I broke down. I cried for hours. I was so scared. I felt like he was going to find me. I didn't think that I was doing the right thing. I didn't know these people. Like, I didn't know this room. Like, I was just, like, just so scared. And they were, the next morning they was knocking on the door. They let me know that, if you're going to stay there, there's programs that you have to follow by. But I just wasn't up for none of it. So I guess they figured they was going to give me a couple days. They gave me a towel and things like that. And let me know that I was able to take a shower. They gave me a little walkthrough of it was basically like a huge apartment or a huge little house with different rooms, for the held, I think two women to each room or something like that. And I remember, taking showers and stuff like that. I didn't want to eat nothing. I just wanted to, take a shower and go back to the room. Um, but I ended up getting away. I'm going to be doing a part two to this, so just let me know what you think about this story so far. Like, comment, and subscribe. And see you at part two.